Hey, it is Sergey with Hyper Growth Engineering. And today I want to talk with you about the future. What is coming up with AI, with technology, with how we will live in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And I wanted to post this and share this perspective with you because it is currently a razor's edge that we are walking on of where we are moving, the direction in which we are moving towards, and your internal shifts, your internal decisions and actions are going to play a massive role in whether we go the good path or the not so good path. And this is going to be hyper individualized to you. Now, let's get into it. My belief is that AI will make each of us more and more human. Every technology, every tool that we adapt to our life is going to make us more human. Every second of time that we save for ourselves, every bit of friction that we take out of our daily lives is going to impact our lives in a massive, massive positive way. Assuming, this is the big assumption, that we choose that actively, proactively, and not reactively. When I say that the AI tools and technology is only going to make us more human, I mean to say that whatever our internal proclivities are, our biological reality, so to speak, if whatever that is, technology is just going to amplify it. It's like money. Whatever you are, it's just going to make it bigger. It's just going to amplify that more and more. If you have insecurities, that's going to get ramped up hell much. If you have a happy personality, if you have proactive tendencies, if you are actively moving and doing things in your life, then absolutely, AI is just going to amplify that for you. But if you are used to consumption, to doing the same thing over and over again, to just following instructions, AI is going to help you along with that as well. And it's going to amplify your consumption. It's going to make consumption so much easier. It's going to direct you in what it is that you should want, as opposed to what you proactively decide that you want from your internal genius, from your internal voice in your head, from the thoughts and perspectives that are wired up in here that are distinct from the social conditioning, from the things that other people tell you. So as we're moving into the future and we notice that AI gives us suggestions, that the algorithms on our video search engines, our regular search engines, that the generative AI is giving us actually suggestions and is guiding our perspective actively. And we think that it is a neutral arbiter of the truth, but it's not. No technology will be, no person can be, and no individual party can be the individual oracle of truth. Like, you can't have a global perspective, a optimally truth-seeking perspective in the world, because that relies on all the information that is currently there. And it requires judgment to decide what is true, what is false, and what you're willing to believe and base your actions in life on. And every person does a different calculus to decide what is right for them. And just like every person does that, if you do this consciously, you'll approach technology in a whole new way. I say this because when you approach AI, and you can treat it like Google, but it doesn't feel like Google. It feels like you are talking with someone and they are vastly, vastly informed, way more than you are. And to a degree, that's true. AI is trained on so much data, even if it's something like Perplexity that is searching the World Wide Web that's like Google plus AI, you still have to recognize that the information you get is biased. Whether or not it seems like it's biased, it is. And whatever information that you request, you never know whether AI actually knows what it's talking about or it's giving you a wild ass guess. And not only can you not tell when it's guessing, but it won't tell you. So whenever you approach any problem that AI gives you, even this is going back to the theory of knowledge perspective, when you approach any piece of information that you encounter in the world, you consciously have to parse, oh, how does this stack up to what I currently know? Which one of these is more reasonable? Which one can I test and can I verify this hypothesis? Is this false? Not is this true? We're not looking for confirmation bias. We're looking for how can I prove this false? Like, is this piece of information falsifiable? So we're going to go from the vibe kind of, there's a certain aspect of society, of social culture, which is very much about the vibes. How good does it feel? Like, does it feel right? Is this intuitively correct? And then that is a very powerful part of our brain. It helps us to find what's different, what meshes with our current understanding of the world, and what does not. That's our system one thinking, of thinking fast and slow. But the system two is the slow and conscious reasoning and intentionality in falsifying every single narrative, every single story and piece of information that you get that you deem is important enough to share with others. You have to dissect it and try to falsify it. Because if you don't, you're going to be living under a premise of illusions, something that you don't know what's true or false. And as you realize that this whole world of illusions, samsara, that is all pervasive, if you don't recognize the truth, if you don't consciously seek after the truth, you're going to be living in a very confused reality. Up will seem like down, and any place will be fine to go. It's just like Alice in Wonderland's. Alice asked the Cheshire Cat, where should I go? And the Cheshire Cat says, well, where do you want to go? And Alice says, I don't care. Like, I don't know. And the cat's like, yeah, any way is fine because you don't know where you're going. If you don't have a perspective on a goal of where you're aiming, then of course, any way will be fine, but you'll never get to a destination that is something that you actively are seeking. So this is why we go back into the information theory of dealing with AI, dealing with how other people communicate, dealing with the narratives that all motivated speakers are passing on to you. If you don't constantly question the key narratives that are fed to you, that you imbibe, the narratives that you hear, then you won't know up from down. So AI is actually the first, now optimistically, AI is the first training ground for you that you can do this in private without the pressure of time pressure of being around other people. You can test things with AI and try to falsify your assumptions. You try to change the way that you phrase things in order to find out what's actually behind that. Because AI is fascinating. It is an oracle of sorts, and it'll give you a biased perspective. But given the right search parameters, given the right query, the right prompt, it'll give you something different. So something that I like to do as a software engineer who asks candidates questions, the way that I know someone's BSing me is I asked them a general question about their experience. Hey, how did you implement that project? And they give me something. Oh, I used the SQL database and I coded up a front end alongside this back end. And I ask, all right, so what kind of SQL database was it? And they're like, Durr. And that's when I know they are bullshitting. And of course, I'm not going to say that things end right there, but so this is the same kind of thing that you can ask AI when you are curious and you want to, see, oh, that sounds slightly inconsistent of what I could possibly believe. You like when the AI gives you a response that you're like, huh, is that actually? Is that really the thing? Or is there something to go deeper on? So you can straight up ask, well, what's the opposing perspective? Where did you source this? And a lot of the time, it's not actually going to give you a good answer. And that's when you know that maybe it's worthwhile to check out something else. So the point here is that when you have AI as an oracle, you can actually ask it for different things. And sometimes you'll get a good answer, and sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll have to specify more directly with using specific languaging of industry-specific terms, of domain-specific knowledge, in order to get just the right answer. So you can query for very niche topics if you know what to query for. If you don't know the vocabulary, if you don't have a table of contents for the subject that you are aiming to procure information for, you're screwed. You may learn something, but it's oftentimes the generic form of advice that AI will give everyone that is, mid. It's all right. It's not going to give you exceptional results, but it's a good search tool. It's a good tool not just to search, but to refine your thinking. The point of refining your thinking is that you get to test your assumptions quickly. You get that feedback loop, iterative feedback loop, fast and quick to test your own assumptions in your mind and find out for yourself, does this ring true? Or where's the friction points between what I believe and what this says? And to test those friction points. Because if you don't, again, you're going to get the mid perspective. If you let AI craft your perspective without questioning it, you'll be in the mid. And that's fine, but you're going to be in the mid. And that's fine, but you're going to be in the mid. You will be undifferentiated from the AI that you rely on for your opinions. And, for some people, that's fine. And for some people, you might want to differentiate because AI is only going to make us more human only if we differentiate consciously from it. If we use it as a tool and not as our identity. If we use it as a knowledge-seeking device, as a iterative feedback loop to refine our thinking, refine our judgment, as opposed to just as an oracle. Remember, this is a tool, this isn't you. This is a tool, this is not God. This is a tool for you to use and to amplify who you are using it. The optimistic, going back to our vision of the future, the optimistic sense is that by rapidly iterating with AI, you get to train your reasoning skills, you get to train your knowledge of specific aspects of the world that you are interested in, things that even Google wouldn't be able to get you in a fast and accessible way. Things that you might, even going on YouTube, you might have to watch hours and hours of videos to look for it. Things that on TikTok would be draining your attention away and leave you unsatisfied. So when you're querying AI and using tools like that, you actually are, when you're using it consciously and when you're using it proactively, you are training your brain to query, to question, to be active in the participation of creation of knowledge. What is really beautiful about AI, what I quite appreciate about it, and I think this is something that is relevant to you and every single human that uses AI, is that you cultivate taste. You use AI to generate something. And you notice, let's say you asked it to generate a story, and you notice that's not quite right. I don't like this. Like overall, the story is fine, but it's missing this and this and this. The cadence is wrong. The sentence structure is not how I speak. The underlying set of beliefs that underlie this story does not vibe with me. I don't like this. And by generating something, you get a diff. You get a differential between what's up here and what's out there. And this is an amazing thing to train your taste on. Not as a, oh, this is great and this is bad. Like you don't want to hold up ChatGPT as the end all be all of style of the good taste, but you do want to use it as a feedback mechanism with yourself to train, what do I think and where does this not quite stick with me? Where does this where does this output differentiate from the taste, differentiate from what I see as good, what I see as great and fine and beautiful? That's what I think is really new and innovative about AI, something that is going to advance the human condition, to bring it forward and allow more people to distinguish their taste from the masses. I think every person, when using AI and using it consciously to develop some product, some story, some creative output, by letting AI make the first draft, that cuts down time immensely to bring something to market. But what you notice, let's say, as I notice when I am coding, the first large segment of like the first planning phase, iterate on the plan with AI, fast. This is like under like 10 minutes. Great. Of course, you have to read through everything and make sure that everything's right, but great. And then you generate the first draft of the code that implements the plan. And that's about like 50 minutes of compute, which is insane to think about. Something that would have taken you weeks gets generated in an hour. And then at first glance, you think, oh, great, the feature works. This code works, and it does the thing. But then you look closely, and you notice this part doesn't work. Fix that, please. That other thing doesn't work. Fix that, please. Oh, wait, these types are wrong, or this doesn't fit into our domain the way that I intended to. This duplicates code that was elsewhere in the application. This should be refactored. And that refactoring, that sense making on the human side, that taking of the initial first draft that the AI gives you and turning it into a final draft, into something that you are willing to maintain for the foreseeable future, that takes hours and hours. That probably takes 5 to 10 times as much time as the first draft, which is insane. But if you compare that process against what you otherwise would have been doing, which is planning and planning and planning for a day or two, and then implementing for a week or two, and then debugging for a couple days, you know, refining a first draft for 5 hours after planning and generating code for 2, not too shabby. That's a day of work. But notice that it amplifies your productivity as a human, as an engineer, but the focus of your work actually changes. It goes from the implementation to the verification of the implementation, from writing out the individual bits of code and putting the first draft out there, to taste making and making sure that this output is something that is beautiful to you, something that is maintainable, something that aligns with your taste for what a section of code, what a system should look like. So when you generalize this problem of coding and engineering to every single domain, from design, storytelling, movie making, you take all this and you say, wow, so people are going to spend less time making curricula, less time making the screenplays, less time actually writing, typing out the words onto paper. And they're going to spend more time aligning the outputs. Like, they're going to have an initial idea in their head. They're going to rapidly iterate over the generated first draft and iterate to make it sound like them, to enable their creative vision into the world and to manifest from heaven into reality, heaven into earth, what is in their head into the concrete world, so that they can share that with others, so that they can share their unique perspective on the world, something that differentiates them from the general masses, that differentiates them from the AI mid perspective. That's what they're going to create, that niche of niches. Every person's going to have their own niche if they have the will to create it. So when you engage with AI, remember to take that view of that niche and refine until this screams it is uniquely your own, that no one else could replicate that, because no one else has the same taste for content, for your active creative work as you do, right? So in a positive vision of the future of AI, as we are more and more tech assisted, we take more and more AI tools, stack them on top of each other to create more and more knowledge for ourselves. We have more diverse niche perspectives that are artful and promote a diverse beauty in our environment, because every single person bring in their reality, their ideas into reality, and share that with others. Like, that implementation speed is just fire. And when we have this beautiful world that is super easy to turn your ideas into reality, this becomes massively decentralized. Yes, there's going to be big model providers, but as Moore's law scales up and we have more and more personal compute on our local machines, we'll be able to run local models with amazing performance and to have private conversations with AI and have private models that echo our niche perspectives. And this is amazing, because while large industries, large platforms provide massive value to us, and they're at scale and can create some amazing results for individuals when using them, there are privacy implications that make it somewhat challenging to live freely. So it's really beautiful to have individual, local scale, decentralized models, decentralized oracles of information, and test beds for your reasoning, for your taste. So as everyone continues to generate freely and create using AI, note that the monetization, though it is currently centralized, is going to become more so decentralized. It's going to move to the protocol layer on the blockchain. And this may not be Bitcoin, though nothing against Bitcoin. It may be another decentralized currency that allows people to transact freely and natively on the internet. We may end up in a place where we are fully decentralized, where while there are providers of services and they are large, there's also space for the decentralized actors who provide services to their local community. when there are low barriers to creating solutions for problems that you see, communities of people are going to have amazing, amazing results because any creative individual will be able to solve that community's problems and for very little cost. They're going to be able to share their solution and actually make a living by serving the other people around them. And they're going to get not at the large scale needs that we know are generally served by large corporations and that can only be served by large corporations at scale. Now we're going to get to the more niche needs and more niche community needs that specific technology can solve. It's not going to be a billion-dollar business, likely, but it is going to be niche and a lifestyle business that can earn still millions in cash by serving a relatively small group of people. And that's a boon for entrepreneurship, a boon for creativity, and a boon for the quality of life of everyone on planet Earth that is somewhat exposed to the technological advances that we see in AI and blockchain and technology more broadly. My perspective is that AI will actually help us to move towards enlightenment. And the reason why is because as we move up the ladder of abundance, as we progressively solve our problems via AI, we're going to meet our needs faster. In fact, we're going to be able to meet our needs faster with our taste eventually, but we're going to meet our needs faster and realize that that wasn't all that. That wasn't all that great. I mean, yes, I have the food, I have the housing, I have the money to survive and live pretty well for myself. But when you look back, you notice that there's still a bunch of other things that I wish I had. And you keep going up that hedonic treadmill and over and over and over, and it's just going to quicken the cycles. It's going to quicken the feedback loop between I want this, I got this is dissatisfying, I want something else, until you hit that point of no, there has to be something else. Why is this still unsatisfying? And that's the question that I think AI will drive us towards. I think any technology drives us towards, but AI especially, because of the fast feedback loop, because it can generate information almost faster than we can process it, because it enables our creativity, because it amplifies our ability to bring heaven down to earth. We have faster feedback around what the contents of our mind are in relation to how they manifest. And my claim is as we manifest faster and faster, as we create the world consciously for ourselves using AI more and more quickly, we're going to suddenly realize that a lot of the pursuits that we went after were actually meaningless. That the pursuits that we went after did not meet our ultimate needs. And that is a crisis waiting to happen. And it's an important, important crisis for us to move into. Because when we realize that that's a problem, that the things that we have striven for did not meet our ultimate needs, did not help us be happy, satisfied, find meaning in our lives, then the search starts. Then you start looking for, wait, where's the meaning? Where did people historically find meaning? How did people live a satisfied life? Why are people happy in general? How does that happen? And that's where AI will, again, help. It's another problem to solve, and it's going to give us insight into how to be more present, how to be more outcome independent, how to rely on our inner genius, our inner voice in the head and tastes, to really cultivate a beautiful life and to test out via simulations, see metaverse, of what is quickly a beautiful life. Would I be satisfied with that? Because really, even AI is a simulation of a thought that you could have. It's externalizing your thought process. And you get to see it delineated clearly and articulated somewhat clearly. And you get to see, does that align? Same way you're going to be able to check out life situations and model them in a artificial world and see, am I happy with that? Would I be satisfied with that? Now, this may be a long ways off, but I want to draw your attention to the accelerated feedback loops. And this is going to happen faster than you expect, of turning what's in your head into reality and taste making until you refine what's in reality, thereby refining what's in your head until your brain aligns on what is true for your whole biology, what is true for your upbringing, what is true for the brain and body and mind that you have. And the hope is that as we further into this world, into accelerated technological progress, that we'll discover that there's something more. That it's not just the base Earth reality here, but perhaps if we explore fast enough, if we explore far enough, if we are conscious of our exploration, we may just find that there's something beyond. And that is the optimistic take of where our future may be going if you so choose to engage with it. Thank you for listening. This is Sergey. Again, thank you, and wish you the best.